good morning. Today I'm going to speak about why. So I've spoken about why what dopamine detoxing is. I speak about that a lot because what I really am advocating for is complete discipline, and this phrase I keep saying, which is having complete control over your actions. But 95% of getting there, or 90%, most of getting there, it depends who you are. Some people are pretty disciplined already, but they're not on dopamine detox. So there's some outliers. But for most people, 90% of the results is through dopamine detox. So I'm just going to speak about that today. And why dopamine detoxing makes it, yes, easier for you to be fully disciplined, and it's necessary to be fully disciplined, but also why it just by itself makes you happier. Actually, just happy. The emotion of being happy. And I'm not going to get into too much about what I think happiness is, because it's best not to think about that, in my opinion. It's best just to let it come to you. I've spent many years thinking about that kind of thing with only negative results. It's something that I think is best to let come to you through your actions and the way you live your life. But dopamine basically is the reward chemical of the brain. And this is super oversimplified, but unless you're a fucking neuroscientist, it has to be oversimplified, right? And I'm not a neuroscientist. So, it's not technically how it works. We'll go and fucking read a paper then. Don't learn from a YouTube video. Fuck. Yeah, so dopamine is a reward chemical in the brain. And it basically makes us feel good. It motivates us to do things. It moves us, it drives us. It's sort of like without it, we would just be a plant. We would just sit and grow. There's no desire to move or do anything. But dopamine, like some examples, if you really haven't heard of this before, like when you jerk off and you feel really good and you want to keep doing it, I would say have sex with a chance you haven't had sex. But it's the same feeling of really fucking want so much reward. It feels so fucking good. That's dopamine gone through your brain. And so you might think, well, dopamine detoxing, which again, if you don't know, is where you stop doing activities, completely stop all activities that give you dopamine, but are not productive and are not healthy. And it's pretty obvious to think what these is: video games, shit food, jerking off, scrolling. They're the things that are the most enjoyable, right? The things that you feel pulled to do the most, the things that are easiest to do. They give you the most reward. You might think, well, I'm going to be happier if I'm doing those things. In some definition of the word happiness, yes, in the actual moment and thinking about it, there is more stimulation. This is like level 0 happiness, by the way. I'm tempted to even say some people say like it's happiness in the moment versus happiness later. I don't even think it's happiness in the moment. It's not. Maybe it's just for me because like when I do that shit, I just feel like shit because I know I'm doing that shit. But I don't do that shit because I know I'll feel like shit. But for some people who don't realize it's fucked for them, they can actually just enjoy the stimulation without guilt. So I guess it's making you happier in the moment. Like, yeah, actually, you hear some people saying that like after a long day playing some video games, it actually makes them happy. So sure, in the moment, you might think that is what is making you happy, but no. What these things do when you are enjoying these higher levels of dopamine. Say you have your various activities give you these levels of dopamine throughout the day, right? You have, wake up and eat some food and brush your teeth and take a shower and do some work, eat some healthy food, blah, blah, work out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right? That's your normal dopamine levels. And it's a pretty nice guide, like eating some food gave you a bit more than usual, and doing some work should be a bit higher. That was towards your goals. This should be a bit higher. Working out was pretty good. It's a good guide, and think how things should be. Sex later. That's a pretty good one. Now, let's play some video games. There's so much extra dopamine and all this other shit that we need to scale this graph. Sorry, this is the shittest graph. Right, we need to scale this graph down. So here's our new graph. This was all our initial activities. This is the playing video games. Now everything else is dulled out. It's dimmed down. We have no understanding of what is really important and what should be giving us dopamine, what shouldn't. Our dopamine system is fucked, basically. We don't get. Now, you have to understand that before we were getting this amount of happiness, right? Let's say 5 points of happiness. You might think, oh, you get 25 from this. No. When you have something this high, the whole graph scales down. So now, you're still just getting 5 from that most dopamine-inducing thing, right? You understand what I'm saying? So there's a maximum dopamine-inducing thing. That's your max level. There are some extreme examples like heroin and like meth, where it's like, yeah, you're probably gonna like break past that ceiling, but that's like your life is just fucked completely from then on, and like you're not gonna be watching YouTube video on self-improvement, like you're actually just fucked. This is a little less extreme, but it's still really fucking bad, okay? Now, instead of, oh, well, that's fine, I'll just get heaps from video games, but I can still get 5 from here. No, now you get 5 from the video games, and instead you get 1 from all these other activities that should be giving you 5. So, all it's doing is, now you get less dopamine from your basic life. Do you understand how bad this is? You're less motivated to like eat healthy, to work out, to do work. That's really bad, right? That you should not want that. These are the things that we have to do in our life. Well, most of the time we have to do, unless you're like a high school student on holidays and you can actually just play video games for like 12 hours a day and your mum cooks you dinner and everything. Most people have to spend most of their day, like if you're at school or some shit, doing shit they don't want to, doing that level 1 shit, and then they get home and do that level 5, right? So most of the day you're not happy because your dopamine, your reward, your desire to do things, you're doing these level 1 things. You want to get home and do that level 5. If you cut out that level 5 thing, everything else scales up again. So now suddenly, throughout the day when you're at school and doing these things, you're getting levels 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 all day long. Your reward system is working properly, and you are no longer burdened by having to get that hit from those high dopamine activities. You understand? You're sitting there thinking, this sucks. I wish I could go on my phone and scroll. But this only sucks because you know you can go on your phone and scroll. If you didn't do that and couldn't play video games, and there was nothing to look forward to at the end of the day. And this is, okay, I just want to make a point here. If you're like really clinically depressed, you may not have something to look forward to at the end of the day, just because your mental health is completely fucked. You may not even look forward to these those dopamine excessive activities, and that is really sad, and I'm sorry for you. You should get on a dopamine detox, and then you should seek help, professional help. But you should get on a dopamine detox first, because there's a fairly good chance that this will actually fix you. Please, just trust me. But I'm not going to give professional advice, because I know that obviously mental health conditions are very real, and in many cases can be not fixed by things like this. But in even more cases, in 90% they can. This will fix you in 95% of cases. All right. It's no mystery why mental health is getting worse. It's not like humans are becoming more susceptible to the disease of depression or anxiety. Like, this shit has jumped in 50 years, 100 years. We're not different. We are 100. Humans have been evolving for 70,000. Some people think 1.5 million years of evolution, and before that, so long. So 100 years, we have not evolved and changed as creatures enough that the rate of actual chemically induced mental health disorders is higher. So it has to be something external, and this is what it is. There's other things like loneliness and that sort of thing, but for this is mostly what it is. And also, if everyone around you is dopamine detox, no one would be gaming and on social media, so they would want to go and see people in person, because seeing people in person would actually give them good dopamine. So the loneliness would decrease, and everyone would be a bit happier. So it's kind of all is a result of this. So now, if you cut that shit out, suddenly throughout the day stuff, and I know what you're thinking, that would be so fucking depressing to cut out the one thing I look forward to at the end of the day. But you have to understand that you're thinking right now, that would be depressing because my life sucks, and that's the one good thing. And if I cut out the one good thing, my life would still suck. No, if you cut that out, everything else raises up. It'll take some time, a couple of weeks probably, like any what's it called when you get off drugs? Withdrawals, like any period of withdrawals. It'll take some time for those dopamine levels to rise back up. But once they do, your life will not suck, because you'll be getting dopamine from normal fucking everyday stuff. And if you made it this far, I want to just tell you something. I did lie a little bit. It doesn't fully scale down. I hope you can understand this graph, even though it's fucking shocking. Say this is 25. It doesn't fully scale down to 5. It still is a bit higher. This scaling down isn't fully, you know what I'm saying? Say you've got normal stuff, and then you have this massive peak. And what I've been telling you is that this scales down, so now your max dopamine is always a certain level. That's not completely true. I still crave video games and shit food and just scrolling and stuff. So it is still a bit higher. It doesn't scale down fully. So if you made it this far and you're serious about this, it is still harder. It's not oh my God, I feel as good from studying now as I do from playing video games. That's not gonna happen. If it's actually something aligned to your purpose, when I make these videos, the feeling I get from this, knowing I could potentially be helping other people, that is an elite feeling, and that is better than video games, 100%. But for stuff that you're sort of being forced to do, like brush your teeth and wipe your shit, and so that doesn't fully get up to that level. There is still some degree of okay, my life is a bit more boring now because I don't get to play video games. But as I've said with all of this other shit, yes, your life is a bit more boring and harder, but your mental health is so much better throughout the day and overall that it is easier. Just trust me. I guess I never really explained why your mental health actually gets better in this video. Alright, well, that'll be my next one. Thank you for watching. I just wanted to add on the end of this that I don't know if I will make another video on why it makes you happy exactly, because I think, following on from everything I just said, having dopamine levels that work properly and respond correctly to things in your life, you can get happiness from so many more things, from your relationships, from talking to your family and this and that. I think it might be something deeper that I don't actually understand. You know, not being tethered to these habits and being able to, like, sort of choose what you do throughout the day because you're not an addict to these dopamine inducing things. But then, I guess on top of this, when you're in a dopamine detox, you can start to direct your life towards actions that are actually aligned with your purpose and what you really want to be doing. And you know that you're not wasting time, and you basically just don't feel like shit for wasting time. You feel good because you're doing hard things that are benefiting you. And I think all those factors contribute as well to what actually makes you happier. But yeah, I just had realized that explaining what actually makes you happier is something I don't think I'm actually capable of doing. I can just explain why it's so good for you, and I guess that is, as I said at the start of the video, I can't define happiness, so it's hard for me to explain why it would make you happier. But yeah, I don't know. I think you can see my confusion, but I'm not confused about the benefits of this. I've been 2 years completely, flawlessly dopamine detoxed. Pretty much. The times that I'm not, where I do, drink or watch movies, it's never alone when I could be working. It's always with people, and I can justify that to myself as, social connection, stuff that makes me feel good in my soul. But I only know this because I was flawlessly dopamine detox for a long time, and now I can evaluate these things properly. But if you're just starting out, I've said this before, please just go full on dog, because you can't really trust yourself yet and understand what is you just being a little dopamine addict and what is actually you making a decision about something you want to do. Yeah, you want to get past those withdrawals so that you start understanding what you want to do in life, and you're not just hooked and sort of autopiloting, being addicted to dopamine. Yes, it's a real strange end to this video, but I just realised maybe in the future I'll have some more coherent thoughts on that specific aspect of it. But hopefully you're still 100% convinced that you should do this. I don't think that will be an issue. Anyway, thanks for watching for real this time.